Hello people, this is Ryder here to review the Ultraman Blazar DX Blazar Stone EX New Generation Star Set 02. Just like the name implied, here is the second set of New Generation Star versions of the New Generation Ultras. So obviously, in the same box style that set 1 was in, we have Blazar in the Fedoran armor and Zet Original. To which I'll actually go through the lineup this time early. We have Decker Flash type, and obviously I forgot to state this. All these are subtitled, the special versions. Trigger multi type, Zet Original, Zero, X, Taiga, Titus, and Fuma. So obviously we've got the Tri Squad right there. Top just tells you a blur of using it within the Blazar brace. The left and right don't really have anything, and the bottom is just the warnings. And obviously down here is like the complete set of warnings. And here we have another diorama of the ultras of the set. The main stone of the set being Zet, to which, if you can recall from the Hyperkey, the Guts Hyperkey Premium set for the New Generation Heroes, if you were to take the first set and flip it around, you can put the two boxes together and make a updated version of that diorama, because I think that the ones from the Hyperkey sets obviously did not have Decker nor Blazar, but I think it also didn't have Zero and such, because Grigio was added despite not being included initially, but just to make up for her absence. But other than that, I think I actually like how this one comes through more than the one from the Hyperkey set. Obviously, it's just unfortunate that obviously it's only the back that has this diorama. It doesn't have the thing of, well, actually now looking at it, they actually do have, okay, that's actually cool. The front does have that too. It's just not as subtle as these do not want to sit. Because I was going to say that the front doesn't have it, but it's just because I didn't notice the color transitions or the texture transitions from the top. So that's actually cool. They still kept this inconsistent of making this basically evergreen, ever-growing and such. Obviously we're not getting an EX3, but if we are, then we know that that would be red and such. But then obviously these two images are already done. Alright, so here we have all the stones out. Hopefully I said stones and not metals, because it's either metals or crystals we keep saying. But anyways, here we are with Decker. Flash type. I was gonna say dynamic, but basically if you haven't watched the first set, basically what makes these special versions special is that they carry out this clear white base as opposed to the stone gray, but they also carry out this like pearlescent purple sheen that was carried over from Blazar's cover. And as you can see from here, Decker is yellow. And the other thing they changed out was that instead of this being silver and like flaky, I guess this is like a straight up gold, like a clean gold with this nice like glossy-esque sheen. I apologize for my explanations. Other than that, here's the back. This one is still B012 as we compare it with the original Decker Flash type from set one, I think, if I remember. I don't know, Deckers I've always felt kind of was weird. But, yep, as you can see from there, they're still B012. And then for the rest of these, we're just going to compare. So, here is Trigger Multi-Type from set 2. Which I think Trigger actually looks pretty good here. But as you can see from here, they're still both B137. So, again, what I appreciate about these versions is that I really like how much of the covers come out more as opposed to here. Because obviously, these colors on top of a darker color, it washes them out and such. Then we have Zet Original, which came with the Blazar brace. Again, this color combination is really good. Zet is still B011. You can just tell how much bigger the gap is here as opposed to here, but other than that, here we are with Zero from set 2. As he was one of the main, he was the titled stone along with Belial. Again, the blues look really good here. He is still B084. And then here we have X from set 3. And the green is very, the green really comes out with the white. But, I'll admit, I feel like X kind of gets lost as opposed to here. But it's also just because he has a lot more gaps, like especially here. And like you can tell the circle is a lot more wider. But that doesn't mean he is still B102. And then the last of these, Taiga, coming from set 5. Again, like I appreciate the red and gold, but I feel like he gets lost here. As opposed to this one. But what isn't lost is that he is B126. I say that's the last one because the last two we have to cover are did not originally obtain DX versions. So here is Titus, which I think Titus really came out well. Because obviously you don't recall, Titus came from Shokugan set 2, so he is C128, while this is, because this is his first DX appearance, that he is now B128. It doesn't make a difference. And then Fuma was released originally alongside Grigio and Gashapon 2. Which, just like Zet, I think this one came out really well, but, you know, I think they at least did a good job of not making them similar. So, but he is still 129, but obviously this one's V, and then this one's B. So let's use these in the Blazar brace. So, we'll use Decker first. Sorry. Obviously, we just have the transformation of Decker, the Grunt, the Solgent Coulson, to which I didn't know is actually different from as opposed to Dyna's, which is why the Hyperkey had a different announcement. I think it's different by like a letter. And we have Kanata. But as you can tell, it's literally just the same. It functions the exact same as the original. Because of that, we're only going to go through the transformations, or the standby, transformations, and the grunt. We're going to exclude the finishers. So that was the trigger. Sorry if we're going to blast through them. If you want to actually see them, watch the demo. And then Zero. I apologize. Oops. X. Now the Tri Squad with Taiga. We're gonna skip the Buddy Go with Titus and Fuma. Obviously, if you're going to tell from Titus and Fuma, you haven't watched the original videos of these two, Titus and Fuma carry over the same exact animations as Taiga. So they don't have the luxury like Rulestone and Blue actually getting individual screens or individual animations. These two just got carryovers in terms of animation. So what I think about these two sets is that, I'll repeat this, like basically if you've never picked up any of these stones from what they were originally a part of, and for example, if you just got into the Blazar toy line, or if, like, for example, you just got the Memorial Edition and you don't want to get repeats of any of the stones that are included in those, and I think these EX sets are are a good pickup just to at least get those sounds out of the way and such. And also just so then, you know, you have a nice collection of the new generation stones with you alongside your Memorial Edition Blazar brace. Again, as of recording, July 19th, that thing hasn't released yet. And I can assure that these are not going to do anything different in the Memorial Edition, which is why I think these are valid. The biggest issue with this set, however, as opposed to the first set, is that, oh, before I get into that, I think another thing I want to probably say is that, oh, no, okay. I think lineup-wise, this one's definitely not as great as the first set. The first set just had like a really solid lineup. Like, yes, it did have the outliers. So I guess in the case of here, X is the outlier as opposed to Blazar. Because we have the Tri-Squad here, we have Zero and Zet, and then we have Trigger and Decker. But I just feel like, I don't know, I think this selection here is just kind of a bit more weaker, even though it does have like the previous year, like the previous. I think what's funny about this set is that this set has like the last 4 years. This set has practically all of the Reiwa Ultras, excluding Zero and X. But like that's actually kind of funny. But you know, it's not the weakest like lineup, but it's not. It's definitely not up there with the set ones. But I think definitely the weakest thing about this set as opposed to set 1 is that there's basically no reason as to why you should get this one in particular, because none of these, as we have covered, none of these make a new sound. Unlike set 1 where Blazar actually made a new sound, so you could at least kind of excuse as to why you're stuck with 7 re-releases. But this set, like, has nothing, which is unfortunate. But the issue is that I feel like if they would have, I think they would have if they didn't already use it, because I think they would have definitely made Zet the special one, but they already did that with the Svenger stone, because that was clearly just a special Zet stone, but then they changed it into Svenger, or they changed it into the storage stone and such. Or they released it as the storage stone. Because while I would be... The thing is that... while you would kind of expect me to be overly upset about the fact that these EX sets don't bring anything new to the Blazar brace and just kind of feel fonderous and basically feel like a huge excuse just to release one entire new stone, I at least appreciate we got one entire new stone. But at the same time, going off of what has already been put out of the Blazar brace, we already knew that we weren't going to get anything like spectacular out of the EX sets. But I think where this steeps down low is the fact that they basically didn't follow through what was originally programmed in the Blazar brace. Because the Blazar brace, the reason why I kind of speculated right away that we were going to get a like new generation adjacent re-releases of these stones in the recap series was because for some reason the last batch of stones that are programmed before the Chinese exclusive sounds or set, there was an entire like subsection within the program or within like the list of like programmed stones that are just strictly the new generation heroes again. And I think it was the same lineup as the Dimensionizer cards, but excluding like I don't know. I don't remember if it had any exclusion. Well, obviously excluding like things like King of Victory, Zero Beyond, Belial, and Juggler's Juggler. Obviously excluding those four, but like just like not non-form or like enemy ones. Like it was just what we got here plus reboot and Regulus, and I think Trigger Dark and Venus. So we were supposed to get a lineup of 20 of these things, but the weird, like, so when these sets got announced, I was at least expecting us to get those tracks at least, even if functionally they didn't do anything new. I would have been at least fine if they like. I would have been at least fine just because it's like, oh cool, they're releasing more of these tracks. But I'm just more disappointed that they didn't even bother referring back to their own programming and just simply re-releasing what they re-released in the DX line, to the point that obviously stones like Decker, Zet, and Ginga, who were clearly in the weird spot of being programmed early on, but then because those three are programmed into this thing 3 times. We have their first iterations of them being programmed, but then like there is another version of them that's programmed alongside their other forms, if I recall. And then for all of these new generation stones, they got programmed into the Blazar Brace again, but in like the 100 or in the 200s, I think. And they couldn't even give us those tracks. So I would have let this, like, either way, we weren't going to get any new sounds. But at least I would have appreciated if we got those tracks, just so they can at least justify, oh hey, these are new stones. Even if, they, like, functionally, they're the same thing, but, you know, they're technically new. But I don't know. I guess that's just thinking too hard. I think they would have. They could have gotten away with it, basically. And, like, again, I appreciate that we got one new Blazar Stone out of these 2 EX sets. But, like, I think they could have at least given us those tracks. Because, like, again, I think it's just because I've already set myself for, like, knowing that, like, okay, we're not going to get anything new functionally and such. Because technically, what more are we going to be given? Or, like, because technically, you just had to blame them for not planning this out. And such. Or, like, not even, like, giving up, like, or not even doing any, because, like, I think I was already disappointed by it when we initially saw, or when we initially had the entire list of just, like, why didn't they bother doing anything special with these new generation, with this third batch of new generation stones programmed? Like, they could have done something to them of just acknowledging, like, or just having a Gento phrase attached with it. I don't even care if it's the same phrase. They could have just done at least something special to at least justify them programming a third batch of new generation stones into the toy, but I don't know. Like, I think these sets should be cheap now, because these things are like $16 a piece, but like, hopefully you can get them for cheaper and such, just like what eventually happened with the Season 1 merchandise for New Generation Stars. I'll have to do this review. This is Ryder, and I'll leave you people. Bye.